Ed Sheeran is a Grammy award-winning, Brit award-winning, MTV award-winning global music superstar. He's sold 150 million records worldwide. He's the second most streamed artist in the world behind Drake. In a given year when he's touring, he can easily earn between 70 million and 100 million dollars. Yet, Ed Sheeran is a property investor and a landlord. So with all that money, tens of millions coming in from music, why does Ed Sheeran take the time and the effort to invest in property and become a landlord? In this new series of videos, I'll be looking at the property empires of celebrities. I'll be looking at what types of property, housing and real estate that they buy, the quality of their portfolios, and most importantly, some lessons that we can take from them in our own property journeys. I think that you're going to find today's video not only interesting but actually practically useful, lots of things that you can apply in your own wealth building journey. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Warren. I am a banker here in London and a property investor across the UK. My goal is to live free and independently on my own terms from property. So I'm looking for an income of £3,000 per month from property in the next 5 years. If you're the same and you want to live free and independently, do me a favor and subscribe, because my content is all about that, and hit that like button for the algorithm. So first of all, guys, let's start by looking at what's actually inside of Ed Sheeran's property portfolio, because it's quite interesting. I think you'll find as of 2022 his portfolio is at £57 million. In this article by Yahoo Life, we can see that he has 27 London properties that are mainly residential flats that he rents out. He also has some commercial property, which includes a pub/restaurant, and he also owns his own estate in Suffolk where he lives. Random fact, but I've actually been and stayed in that same town where he's from. I went there with my wife for a country getaway not so long ago. Not to his actual estate, unfortunately, but to the same town where he's from. He's called his estate Sheeranville, which is funny, and it has a collection of properties. So he's bought his own house and the surrounding properties. He's got a pub, a gym, a pond, millionaire stuff, guys. He's made his own living space, his own living estate. Very nice. And why wouldn't you? Investing is important, but it's also about building cash to enjoy your money and to have nice things. If I had that type of money, I absolutely would be buying estates. I'd have helicopter landing pads, I'd have a zoo, I'd have a swimming pool, all of that stuff, guys. Living the dream. So we'll take a bit more of a forensic look at his portfolio as we go on in this video. But as you can see, he has mainly a residential portfolio that he rents out to tenants, and he's got a commercial property in there as well. So why is Ed Sheeran into property this heavily? We saw at the beginning of the video, the guy gets between 70 million to 100 million dollars per year if he's touring. Biggest pop star on the planet. He's getting plenty of money, guys, plenty of money. Why take the time? Because it's, 27 properties is not a small portfolio, and it takes time and effort to find these properties. I'm sure he's got somebody doing the legwork for him, but I'm sure there's some degree of involvement. So why is he doing it? Let's talk a bit about the wisdom, guys, behind diversification, because for every global mega celebrity, whether they're a pop star, an athlete, an actor, we know and we've seen that there are plenty of people who still go bankrupt and go broke, despite earning tens, even hundreds of millions of pounds in their lifetime. Mike Tyson is a really good example. I think he earned around about $400 million in his career. But the point is, just because you earn a lot of money doesn't mean that you are financially secure. And a big part of securing your financial future is investing and having different streams of income. Diversification is the word, guys. And diversification is basically not having all of your eggs in one basket. You don't want to be solely dependent on your income coming from one source. So for Ed Sheeran, that would be music. That's where his gift and his talent is, and he's excellent at it. He's a great artist. But what would happen if he had a terrible accident and he was no longer able to sing anymore? What would happen if he lost his voice for a year? Stuff like that, guys. You need to be financially secure in life. I think everybody should be financially secure in life, and I think everybody should invest. That's my maximalist view on these things. And it's possible for everyone to do by investing in income-bearing assets. So when you invest in something like property or the stock market, whatever the asset is, you have effectively a safety net and you can go and pursue your dreams, whether that's music, whether that's acting, whether that's singing, whether that's working as a doctor, whatever it is. I believe that everybody should invest and have a safety net and diversify their income and also build their wealth. And for me, guys, I would bet money that this is something that Ed Sheeran's financial advisors have talked to him about, because if you are the biggest pop star on the planet, imagine how busy you are day to day. You don't have time to go to 27 property viewings in the space of a few years. You don't have time to look at tenancy agreements. You don't have time to manage property. You don't have time for any of that. I'm sure he has a team behind him, which is great, but somebody somewhere has whispered in his ear and said, hey, look, it's wise that you diversify your income so that when you're retired, or when you don't want to go touring, or when you don't want to do music for a year or so, maybe you want to break, you have another stream of income coming in that you can rely on. And to be fair to Ed, he's had the wisdom to say, that's a good idea, I'm going to do that. So let's have a look at the quality of his portfolio. Where has he chosen to invest and what types of properties are there? So we can see that he's invested primarily in London, in the capital, in established and up-and-coming areas, where we can charge top whack to renters. In London, the rents are a lot higher than the rest of the country. We all know this. In this article, we get a breakdown of where he's invested. He's invested in some really nice areas. He's invested in Covent Garden, Holland Park, Chiswick, Hammersmith and Shoreditch, Battersea, and Whitechapel. Now, if you know anything about London, these are good areas to be investing in. Some of them are really established, like Hammersmith and Covent Garden, and others, there's a lot of regeneration and building going on, places like Battersea and Shoreditch. And then when you look at the type of prices that he's paid, so 2 flats near Shoreditch for 1.45 million, 6 flats in Hammersmith for 5.6 million, 3 properties in Holland Park for 7.7 million. What you can see here, guys, by the prices, he is buying high-end flats. So he's not buying, your bargain properties in London. The average price of a property in London is around about 500k, so it is expensive. But his price point is way above that. He's buying premium properties for between 700,000 and £2 million. These are high quality properties. And we know from the last recession and the last property market crash, these types of high-end properties in prime areas of London, yes, they lost some value during the recession, but they were also the properties that lost the least amount of value across the UK, and they also recovered their value the quickest because they are prime assets in prime areas of the UK. If one of you out there, get in touch, gave me £10 million tomorrow, I'd be straight into these prime areas of London buying up luxury prime flats, because even though the yields aren't great and the appreciation hasn't been good over the last few years, they are the types of properties that over the long term rise in value the most and hold their value better than any other part of the UK on average. He also has a pub on Portobello Road in Notting Hill. Again, a great location. Notting Hill, I don't know if any of you out there have been to Notting Hill, but it's a great area. It's buzzing. Notting Hill is a really cultural place. I've got extended family members who perform, they're musicians, always in and around Notting Hill. I've been on some great, nights out around Notting Hill. They got some lovely parks, really nice, the home of the carnival, great vibrant area. So to have a pub right there on Portobello Road, which is a legendary street in that area, great location for a pub, and it's a commercial property, it's a business that he has there also. So nice diversification, great quality of assets in terms of the areas. So to summarize, guys, what can we learn for this? So diversification is the first thing. You don't have to be a pop star like Ed to diversify. I work in a corporation, a lot of you work in offices and businesses. It is great to just not solely rely on your wage, to pay your day-to-day, month-to-month bills and expenses. Diversify your incomes, invest in property, invest in the stock market, invest in other assets. Second is quality. There's a good principle to learn here in terms of the quality of assets. Ed Sheeran is choosing premium properties. I personally at this stage cannot afford premium properties. I can't afford a property in Covent Garden for £1 million, but what I can afford are good quality assets in other areas of the UK. So I invest in Sheffield, in Liverpool, in the centre of those towns. Those city centre locations up north are the equivalent of a Covent Garden or a London Bridge down here, down south in London. So I'm using that same principle that Ed Sheeran is using here, but I'm just doing it up north where it's cheaper. So quality assets, guys. And then lastly, let's have a quick look to close at this article in IOL News. It talks about how Ed funded his properties. It says here that he paid for his property empire in cash without the need for any mortgages, thanks to his 200 million estimated net worth. And a source said that he has a great portfolio of properties, which is true, and he owns a lot free and clear. I think he means without a mortgage, basically. There's no need to borrow. So I actually disagree with this, guys. I think that in his position, I know that the opportunity cost of leaving, you know, 10, 20, 30 million in the bank is quite high, especially whilst interest rates are so low in this current environment. But if I was Ed, I would have leveraged mortgages and not just ended up with 27 properties, but 4 times that, because you would have only have had to put down 25% of the value of these properties. I'm not sure why he's bought them in cash. I don't know if it's a financial reason or whether his accountant has advised him not to, but from a pure portfolio growth perspective, I would have leveraged mortgages. I would not have bought these properties in cash. I would have leveraged mortgages, built up a portfolio that was 4 times the amount that he has now. I mean, what he has now is great, by the way. I'm not knocking it at all. The guy's rich enough to hire, you know, someone full-time to manage a portfolio for him. What's 4 times 27? That's 108 properties. It's a lot of properties, but when you're that rich, when you're rich here and pulling in 70 to 100 million dollars per year, you can hire someone full-time to manage them for you. Greater income, because you're getting 4 times the income that you would from 27 property, and greater capital appreciation, interest-only mortgages, watch them go up in value, and maybe sell off, you know, a portion of them 20 years from now to pay off all of those mortgages as your whole portfolio goes up in value. But that's just my approach to doing it. Guys, I hope you like this video. It's a new format that I'm going to try out. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want to do more. I really like going into the lives and the investing patterns of these super wealthy, rich people and seeing what we can pull out and apply for ourselves. Do me a favor, guys, subscribe and like for the algorithm, and I'll see you guys soon.